tears. Wanna feel the thrill of joy. Wanna feel the ecstasy. Oh yeah.
Well, it's been a long time coming, guys, but here we are in Ayala Mall Circuit, one of the first ever Timezone branches to receive Maximum Tune 6. They've been here for 4 months, and now it's about time for us to go deeper into the system as what makes Maximum Tune 6 the biggest hype in the racing arcade industry here in Southeast Asia. My name is Miyogi, and welcome to the official Philippine coverage of Maximum Tune 6.
I don't wanna hear no words of fantasy, because I live in the moment of one all alone. The more I wanna feel the real deal. I will have my deepest soul your way.
When Maximum Tune 4 came out, it was the experiment of Bandai Namco to inculcate arcade racing with internet connection so that you'd be able to face off against rivals from different countries. Then, they went back on Maxi 5 to focus more on the in-store version aspect of the game. But when Maxi 6 came out, they decided to go back once again to the international market targeting you versus the rest of the world. But what's the gimmick now that Maxi 6 has which previous games don't? Well, simply put, it is multiple international ghost battle, meaning you don't need to face just one rival. You get to face up to 3 of them in succession. So you got a friend in Australia, Malaysia, Indonesia. Well, why fly over there if you could just race them here if the race is what you're after, right? As mentioned, the main focus of Maxi 6 is the international versing aspect of the game over its in-store versus mainstream feature. Back then, you could only race up to 1 person at a time per race, but now, the search system was revamped to cater for you to race up to a maximum of 3 rivals to race with per battle. Different options were provided from specific name searching to searching by region as per the previous installment. The ghosts themselves, however, they were remodified to cater to this change as well, to simulate how most in-store versus races naturally go about. In one word, I'd describe it as chaos. Amidst all these changes, however, we do have to acknowledge that a ton of features were changed and removed around the Ghost Battle mode of the game. All dressed-up parts were revamped, which also entails a reset of the entire roster that we've worked hard to get back in the past installment. The main reason for this being, they are introducing new dress-up parts mixed with the old ones, while removing a plethora of old-time favorites. Unlocking them has reverted back to the old system from Maxi 4. Japan Challenge was removed and Ghost Coins went from Ghost Trophies now into Region Plates. The stamp system was also changed to cater to up to 3 stamps sent, though as an added benefit, this makes clearing stamp pads in the game much quicker to complete, which also entails us more shuttles to get for ourselves. Another minor noteworthy change is that one of the old cars of the game, the GTR35, no longer bears numbers to indicate its power and handling stat, but it is now treated the same way as the new and old cars of the game, showing off actual horsepower values. Perhaps it would make things easier for R35 mains to keep track with the rest of their fellow racers during local battles this way than the old system. Guys, you all know our old best friend here, the Bana Passport, right? Well, back then, it can support up to 100 car datas. But that was back in Maxi 4 and Maxi 5. In Maxi 6, especially if you're going overseas, like just see some friends, just play Maxi. I mean, to be fair, who does that, right? But case in point being, back then, the Indonesia servers and the Southeast Asia servers were separate. But right now, because of the merge server system in Maxi 6, this bad boy can now support up to 200 card datas instead of just simply 100. And the best part? You get to use the disc cards to yourself. No need to buy a second one just to, use up the 600 horsepower tuning cards. You don't need to share it anymore. So if you're the type who wants to keep it all to yourself, go ahead, Maxi 6 is the game for you. The Bana Passport system also had some notable changes in its iteration of Maximum Tune, giving players more of a reason to visit the terminal while waiting for their turn in the machine. Given that the trend in Japan focuses a lot on login rewards and what the Japanese call Gacha, Namco decides to use this similar formula to entice players into frequenting their visits in arcades with Maxi Tune. This Gacha system comes in the form of daily scratch cards, something similar to a bingo sheet where the main prize on each sheet is to win a full tune model of a secret car featured in the terminal. There are roughly a total of 12 secret cars to gain from this gacha system, though the probability of getting these ain't as friendly as it sounds. Most of these models include the traffic cars, special model sedans, and of course the exclusive Nismo R35 variants and the NSX NA2. Sadly, past exclusive cars such as the S2000 Type S is no longer part of this feature. For players who have transferred their datas from Maxi 5DX Plus, they also get a special reward for earning a specific amount of Maxi Gs, which was the currency of the past version, given this feature too is no longer working in 6. As per the screen, these are the reward cards you'd be getting upon meeting the amount earned upon transfer. And the last of the new features of the terminal is the ability to register specific ghost battle opponents for your next visit. This streamlines ghost battle searching while you wait for your turn so that you can spend more time racing them in the racing cabinet than searching for that one specific ghost among multiple duplicates. Best example being, try to find my Shima in the plethora of Shimas registered in the database of Maxi 6. Would you believe me, guys, if I say that Maximum Tune 6 has its own app? Well, if you think I was wrong, you're dead wrong. Cause, well, Maxi 6 definitely now has an app called the Wangan Navigator. What it can do is that it can keep track on where you are, find the arcades that have Maximum Tune 6, and the best part of it all, you get to win free cars in the process. How? Tickets. Rename tickets, full tune tickets, discard tickets, and even free versus tickets. Come on, let's check what the app has to offer. The Wangan Navigator, available for iOS and Android by the way, is your go-to smartphone app to improving your Maxi Tune experience. The main feature of the app is to manage your car data from the comfort of your own fingertips. No cabinet required. If you recall back then how you usually need to log in on the Wangan Maxi website, well, that's the main function of this app. The app shows you basic info and details you need to know about your car datas, shows you the last 3 ghost battles that your car datas have received, and you can change your titles via the app when you feel like changing it on a whim. Its second function is to direct you to the nearest arcade that has a Maxi 6 cabinet installed if you're feeling like taking it up for a few rounds. Checking in on these areas merits you mileage points, which unlocks design assets that you could use to create and customize your own digital Maxi passport. Upon hitting every 1,000 miles, you will earn one of the 4 bonus tickets that could enhance your Maxi experience. Rename tickets if you decide to change the car name you have. Discard tickets that lets you start any car you want at stage 21 with 600 horsepower. A full tune ticket that lets you start any car you want with 840 horsepower maximum. And free versus tickets that would let you continue versus matches if you're up for a rematch. No credits required, but do take note they only last a week upon receiving them. Earning these tickets are randomly generated and is the main gacha experience of the game in the Maxiverse. Its final function serves as a social media-like following app that enables you to follow the activities of your friends when they set course records, get into versus matches, or took the king crown in a specific place. It is not entirely like Facebook, but as a Kickstarter, it does its job very well. The Japanese servers use this friend feature to promote certain events to increase the rewards of the app's other features, but at the moment, that has yet to happen for the international market. Take note that for a user having more than just one Bana Pass, the app only shows information on just one of your Bana Pass datas. If you'd like to manage your other Bana Pass data, you'd have to reset the cache of your app and register the second card in replace of the first. Fair warning though that this means resetting most of your progression as far as mileage points and earned tickets are concerned. Unlike mobile gacha games however, there's nothing lost when you skip out on your daily login routines other than saving your ears the trouble of listening to Reborn Tonight on loop. Unlike in the previous installments, even the graphics of MT6 as described earlier were updated. But it's not just the graphics, but the overall experience too. What I've actually noticed, and I'm sure a lot of players notice this as well, the screen is now more contrasted, brightness levels have gone a little lower, and try racing in Hakone at night right now. It's a bigger hell than what it was back in the day. The shadows are more concise, the shadows are more constructive, and the biggest audio-visual experience threat of it all, which I will admit to you guys right now is, it is loud as frick. You have to be deaf to contend with the sound of Maximum Tunes. I'm not talking about music, I'm talking about the entire sound experience. Sound effects, car sound effects, the impacts, everything is loud. It's screaming, we're new, we're big. I would need something to put on my ears right after this. Next to the multiple online ghost battle feature, the second primary main feature of Maxi 6 is the existence of Porsche in the lineup. For those following Porsche's movements in the e-racing world, it used to have an exclusivity license deal with EA Games, the company behind the hit Need for Speed franchise. Its exclusivity license recently expired roughly around 2 years or so, and is the main factor that lets other franchises such as Gran Turismo and now Maximum Tune to gain rights in using Porsches in their car roster. Players who own any of the roof vehicles from the previous installment are to be informed that they transform into a Porsche upon transfer, tagged as a modified Porsche upon use. We'll be featuring and discussing each Porsche in a few moments to explain the hype around them. Something though that we've disclosed from earlier is that due to the dress-up system revamp, all vehicles on all transferred Bana Passes lose all their dress-up parts except for the aero sets that they have earned. Porsche however is the only exemption to this privilege and only receives their custom colors upon transfer, which is randomized to cater to the Porsche's color palettes, for both basic and custom colors alike. Also, unlike most models, these new Porsches only come with 3 aero sets, which would have to be manually unlocked throughout their individual progressions in Ghost Battle mode. With that out of the way, let's cover each Porsche one by one. The Porsche Cayman S718 replaces the long-running Roof RK Coupe from Maxi 5. It is the much newer chassis and is the lone midship vehicle of the Porsche lineup. Because of its MR layout, much like the MR2, it excels well in technical areas such as Hakone and Kobe Expressway. Its dress-up parts are inspired by the higher race-spec trims of the Cayman, such as the GT4 Club Sport, just to name a few, and are not as over-the-top as the other cars of the brand featured. The Cayman is treated as a new refresh to the RK Coupe, given that the latter was from the older 987 chassis and the former boasts a more high-revving attitude. The Porsche 911-930 replaces the ever-so-famous Roof CTR from Maxi 4. It is by far the oldest Porsche in the game and in the Porsche roster. Because the Roof CTR is technically based off the 911-930 Turbo, there are little to no discrepancies between its transformation. The wheelbase of the 930 is relatively much smaller than the CTR though, it still exhibits the same strengths and weaknesses as its predecessor. As far as dress-up parts are concerned, it shared some parts from the CTR, from aero kits to car-type spoilers, though the one huge disappointment it now has is that the Blackbird 911 is no longer recreatable with the 930. The Porsche 911-964 replaces the infamous Roof's RCT, which was introduced late in the cycle of Maxi 5. Unlike the 6-gear RCT, the 964 is just simply 5 gears like the 911-930. If you know your Wangan Midnight history, this is the iteration that Tatsuya Shima used for the Blackbird from the Perfect GTR arc onwards until the end of the series. before the RCT is ineligible to have any dress-up parts to be used, but it's good to hear that the 964 has its own independent set of aero parts separate to that of its older twin, the 930. Its aero parts are flashier than the 930 and take inspiration from the newer Porsche models, and one that is a spitting image of a Rauwelt Begriff-tuned version, but at least a more accurate recreation of Blackbird is possible with the 964. At least the rework that he received in the 5DX Plus update. Because the 964 came in so late in the past version, people are making references to the CTR as a peg for the 964's movements. Last is the Porsche 911 991, the newest Porsche in the lineup, and is the only all-wheel drive Porsche in the set. Paired with a 7-speed gearbox, this is definitely the successor to the old version's Roof RT35, which was originally rear-engine rear-wheel drive. The 991 is the cover car of the game next to the Cayman, but its parts may surprise you as they are tributes to upcoming Porsches such as the 992 and of the past, like the Gembala GTR Revolution, a heavily modified Porsche created by Gembala Cars, first featured in the 996 chassis. Do note that RGT owners, the one that sports the 997 chassis, get this Porsche upon transfer, so this specific model was met with extreme criticism by players, especially by those who see the distinct differences between the RT35 and the RGT. Due to its 7-speed nature and all-wheel drive drivetrain, this Porsche is best fit for the high-speed stages, along with its newly introduced Europeans and the A-Class JDM juggernauts like the GTRs. And lastly, a special mention comes from this last lone non-Porsche, the Nissan Leopard 3.0 Ultima. This is gained by players who have earned 500,000 Maxi Gs upon transfer and was considered one of the strongest and rarest 4-speed classics of the roster. What makes the Leopard special is how its base tachometer is akin to the S2000 and the Soarer, but the fact that it got the Porsche treatment, unlike the RH Roadster and the S130 shown earlier. The Leopard has its own dress-up parts and aero sets. Some would deem it a trophy wife kind of car, but others are there to let the SVX know that there's a new 4-gear king on the streets. Yo bro, what you reading there?
I'm just reading the latest issue of the manga of Initial D.
Oh, of Initial D. Alright, wait, now that you mention it, I do remember Wangan Midnight also had a manga series of its own. I mean, in fact, the entire game is actually based off a manga, right?
That I've heard.
Yeah, but we though it is a shame that we haven't seen any English localized translations of it, but a manga for Wangan Midnight actually did exist. And in the latest installment of 6, it even covers the entire series up until FD Masters. Shame though that they didn't add C1 Runner into the mix, right?
That's a really shame.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to it anyways.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I was actually looking forward to it as well. But I know for those who never cared about the manga, they find this a little more of an issue than a benefit, because with the manga involved in the production of Maxi 6, the story mode got beefed up in numbers. And when we say numbers, it's just gonna stress you out. Last among Maxi 6's newest features is the reconstruction of story mode. Unlike the dress-up system, nothing was reset with story mode, save a few chapters, but its main highlight is the existence of 4 more arcs added, spanning 10 stages each. The difficulty spike of story mode has gradually increased in comparison to Maxi 4 and 5 combined. The AI's boost management system is less than obvious than it was in previous titles, and the coded lines are much more aggressive. Traffic spawn positions of higher-ranking player cars are much more complex now, and depending on the win streak of the player, traffic could tend to spawn literally on the ideal and fastest racing line that the player may intend to take, which would force them to take a slower one, but would put them on a much higher risk against the AI. Before, the AI would be dropping behind by the last 2 kilometers to give some sort of breathing room, but in latter chapters, such as the newly expanded Zero for the Roads arc, the AI will only start dropping in a minimal rate by the final kilometer, which makes things 10 times harder than how it's used to be. Some end race goal markers were tagged as dangerous for the not so experienced player as they take place right after certain corners, while in earlier chapters they take place before the corner. Some cutscenes made the player feel much less involved than the first 60, oddly enough omitting your presence in the story and reduced to mere dialogue referencing at certain chapters. The patterns of some chapters were similar to how they initially debuted in Maxi 3DX Plus, such as with Garage Ace, F1 Turbine, and FD Masters and Arc main chapters. But races in between these were highly revamped, giving a fresh, new, unpatterned experience for players to experiment on and around. Zero for the Roads had the biggest revamp, originally having 5 chapters only, now boasts 10 chapters of its own, and is the chapter sporting unnatural traffic spawn points and after corner goal markers that would make any player tense up irregardless of their experience level. Completing the following chapters would earn the following rewards. Beating Chapter 70 grants the player 835 maximum horsepower. Beating Chapter 80 grants the player 840 horsepower full tune. And beating Chapter 100 grants the player a new soundtrack album option. The rewards to beating Story Mode Undefeated, which were originally racing tachometers, are now doubled. Rather than being palette swaps of the same tachometers, the other meters are designs based off unlicensed aftermarket racing tachometers that were initially used in a previous PS2 title, Racing Battle C1 Grand Prix by Genki. Also take note, when it comes to earning these meters, you are not obligated to beat Chapter 100 undefeated, but rather in any chapter as long as you have a win streak of 100 wins. For fresh car data, clearing story mode for the first time in low ranks is oddly satisfying enough, while long-running car data with higher ranks would deem story mode to be far harder this time than any online championship match. I guess stage 58 is no longer the common thread that players need to watch out for.
My life was just like a rootless flower. I used to waste my time
And there. Okay, editing's done. Well, looks like we've reached the end of this coverage of Maximum Tune 6. We have covered all the ins and outs of the game, the new features, the new app, the new terminal, the new content. I personally have mixed feelings towards it overall. I mean, yeah, it's great for newcomers, and Porsche is a good addition that will definitely bring the hype back. And 4-week Ghost Battles will definitely bring in a new level of playability. But as for me, as a long-running player of the series, I won't be seeing it as much as the next overly wealthy player that is right there on the corner. Reasons being, I already got what I wanted, and we just have to face facts. Grinding is such a pain. And have you seen the horrible new dress-ups on the non-Porsche cars? I mean, if you disagree with me, here are some samples below on screen, and tell me if I'm wrong when I say they look horrible. But I know some of you guys will contradict me when I say that Miyogi, you should actually go ahead and play some more. We want to see you more. We want to see you do more of these streams of Maximum Tune 6. Well, if you guys really insist, I got links to my Patreon and my PayPal on the video description below. So if you really want to see another stream, the links are there. Drop in some loose change, and if we've gathered enough, I'd be up for it to do another run. And if anything, guys, as soon as you've finished watching this, I highly encourage you guys to check out our live streams of Maximum Tune 6. We've done a couple of them over on Facebook Live, and if ever, and this is just me giving a shout out to some of our channel partners here, one of the best places to watch our live streams, right next to the comfort of your own home or your own device, is, well, go on and visit Dungeon Akiba. They got some good promos there, hourly promos, and really high-speed internet, so you can definitely watch our live streams in high definition on their site. Facebook links in the description below if you want to do some inquiries with them, and I might actually do some live streams as well on that place, so feel free to check it out, and feel free to check out the place too if you're up for some anime merch. And just like to let you guys know, since we're talking about Bandai Namco here, there will be a Tekken 7 tournament that's going to be held in Dungeon Akiba. Also, links in the description below for further details. Just like to give some fellow supports to the other Bandai Namco games, and of course to our channel partners.
I'd like to give my special thanks as well to not just Donjan Akiba, but also Timezone Philippines for sponsoring this entire coverage. And of course, I couldn't have done it without the technical help of all the crew members of OXD Collective. We got Facebook pages for each of these companies that I've just mentioned, not just my own and my own YouTube channel. So check them out below, like and follow them. And well, for those, if you guys are new to the channel, please do subscribe. As for me, at this very moment, now that I've covered the long-awaited Maximum Tune 6 coverage, I don't think I'll be missing out on anything much for the next couple of weeks. Scratch that, there may be one or two things that I may be missing from the arcade itself.
ダメだね、ダメよ、ダメなのよ。あんたが好きで好きすぎで、どれだけ強いお酒でも歪まない思い出がバカみたい